Right. So you stumble across this like hilarious online roast battle, right? But the topic, smart contracts. It's Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano. You know that blockchain platform that wants to like build a more decentralized future? Anyway, he's going head to head with a snarky AI bot. It's pretty wild. Our source for this is a crypto briefing article. It's from December 24th, 2024. And we're going to unpack this whole bizarre encounter. But here's the thing. This isn't just about like internet drama. It really gets into some pretty fascinating questions about the future of digital identity and how humans and AI are going to interact like going forward.
Yeah, it really shows how these like kind of silly online things can actually give you some insight into like bigger technological trends.
Exactly. Okay, so rewind back to the beginning of all this. YouTuber Zara Dar decides to leave academia for a career on OnlyFans. Hoskinson jumps in with a comment like, "Welcome to the new economy." Seems pretty harmless, right? But this is the internet, and nothing is safe, especially when you got AI bots looking around.
It's interesting, like what made the bot jump in? Was it like programmed to look for keywords about the economy or something? Or was it going after public figures? Or maybe the algorithm just saw Hoskinson's comment and thought, ooh, controversial. This is perfect for some comedy. It makes you wonder how these bots are designed and trained, and what they're even for.
Yeah, it's like the Wild West of AI out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then comes Roastmaster 9000, this AI roast bot, like, a real pro. And its whole thing is roasting people with this like quick-witted internet humor. And it does not hold back. It launches this like epic attack on Cardano. It says, bruh, you running Cardano like she running that PhD straight to OnlyFans when things get hard. At least she making money moves while ADA holders still waiting on smart contracts that work.
Ouch. That's a pretty direct hit at how fast Cardano is developing. Like it's saying Cardano is giving up on something hard. And it plays on that common criticism that Cardano's smart contracts have been slow to come out compared to its competitors.
Yeah. Classic internet burn. But here's where things get interesting. Hoskinson doesn't get defensive or anything. He actually challenges the bot to back up what it's saying. It's like he's shifting the burden of proof. A classic debate tactic.
Yeah, it's pretty smart. And it shows a big difference in how humans and AI approach a debate. Humans use logic, context, and even emotions to navigate these conversations. But AI, at least where it is now, might not be so good at that kind of nuanced reasoning.
So what does the bot do? Does it actually try to prove its point?
Not really. It deflects. It changes the subject to Cardano's transaction speed, TPS. Now, you might already know this, but for anyone who doesn't, TPS is a big deal in blockchain. It's all about how many transactions a blockchain can process every second, which impacts how scalable and usable it is. And it's a big point of debate. Different blockchains brag about having different TPS rates.
Right, so the bot throws out this line. You want specifics, like your blockchain wants adoption desperately. I'd explain, but your TPS is so low, my response might take till 2025 to process.
Classic deflection and sarcasm. But it also brings up a key point about blockchain design. The balance between speed and security. Some blockchains go for speed, others prioritize security. And finding that sweet spot is tough.
Yeah, and this is where we start to see the limits of this roast bot. It can throw out these pre-programmed insults, but can it really debate? Can it understand how blockchain works and respond to Hoskinson's arguments with any substance?
That's the big question, isn't it? Is this bot just a fancy parrot mimicking human conversation? Or is there more to it?
That's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. It's like a glimpse into AI right now.
Capable of sounding human, but maybe not quite there yet in terms of actually understanding.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that we as humans tend to think AI is smarter than it is. We assume it's got this intelligence and intention that might not be there. So online, everyone's freaking out. They think Hoskinson has no idea he's arguing with a bot.
It's that classic thing of humans not getting technology, attributing more smarts to it than it actually has.
And Hoskinson, being Hoskinson, he leans into the humor. He compares himself to Captain Kirk, outsmarting a computer.
That's a great analogy. Kirk often used intuition, creativity, and understanding human nature to beat technology. It makes you wonder, was Hoskinson messing with the bot on purpose, knowing it couldn't keep up with his human reasoning?
It's like he took a random roast battle and turned it into this commentary on AI and how it relates to human intelligence. But here's where the story takes a turn. Remember that new economy comment that started this whole thing? Well, it turns out Hoskinson might have had something very specific in mind.
This is where it gets really interesting. Hoskinson later said he was actually curious how advanced the roast bot was, and he even thought about making a digital copy of himself on X as an experiment. But the real kicker is this: Input Output Global, the company behind Cardano. They're working on a project called MeBox.
Wait, MeBox? What's that? Like a personal AI assistant or something?
It's way more than that. MeBox is about making digital versions of people. So you can have a digital twin that interacts online for you, like a super-powered avatar that can go to meetings, share your opinions, even make deals.
Hold on, so it's not just about automating stuff, it's about creating a digital you.
Exactly. It's about blurring the line between the physical and digital worlds, creating a world where our digital selves can be part of everything, from work and money to social stuff and being creative.
Okay, my brain needs a minute to catch up.
I get it. It's a lot to process.
So if MeBox is about making digital versions of ourselves, what does that even mean for the future of, like, everything?
That's the question, isn't it? What are the implications for work relationships, even for what it means to be a person, when we can have digital copies of ourselves doing things for us?
This is where my brain starts to melt a little.
That's the fun of exploring these topics. They challenge what we think and make us imagine new possibilities, and this is just the start of our deep dive.
Okay, so we started with a roast battle, and now we're talking about digital twins and the future of being human. This is why I love these deep dives. You never know where they're going to go. But before we get too lost in the metaverse, let's take a closer look at this MeBox project and see if we can figure out what it means for the future of digital identity.
So let's really get into this MeBox thing. It's crazy how this roast battle started as a funny online fight, and now we're talking about something that could completely change the game.
I know, right? It's like we found a secret door to the future or something. But what exactly is MeBox? Is it just like a fancy chatbot? Or is this something bigger?
It's definitely more than a chatbot. Imagine a digital version of you, an avatar that can interact online, but with way more freedom than anything we've seen before.
Okay, so this digital twin thing, what could it actually do?
Think about the things you do online every day. Meetings, emails, social media. MeBox could handle all that for you. And not just by following some basic instructions, it would learn your preferences, how you communicate, even your sense of humor.
So it's like a super personalized AI assistant, but on a much larger scale.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just doing boring tasks. MeBox could represent you in online groups, get into debates, even share your opinions on complicated issues. It could basically be an extension of you online, acting on your behalf in the digital world.
Wait, so you're saying my MeBox could be arguing with people on Twitter while I'm chilling with a cup of tea?
Yeah, potentially. Though hopefully it would be a little more polite than the average Twitter user.
That's good to know. But seriously, the implications of this are kind of mind-blowing. What happens to the idea of work when we have digital avatars that can represent us?
It brings up some really interesting questions. Could we see a future where our MeBoxes go to virtual meetings, negotiate contracts, even do complex tasks that need specialized knowledge? It could totally change remote work and collaboration, break down geographical barriers, and let us participate in a global workforce in a way we never could before.
But wouldn't that create a whole new set of problems? Like, how do we make sure these MeBoxes are acting ethically and responsibly? What about the potential for bias or misuse?
Those are definitely valid concerns, and it's something developers need to think about very carefully. Like any powerful tool, it can be misused. But there's also huge potential for good. MeBox could give people a voice and a presence online that they might not have otherwise. It could level the playing field, allow people from all backgrounds to participate in the global economy, and contribute their unique skills and perspectives.
It's like we're talking about a digital utopia.
Yeah.
But we also have to acknowledge the potential for things to go wrong. It's a lot to consider.
Absolutely. And it's important to have these conversations now. Before this technology is everywhere, we need to think about the ethical, social, and economic implications of creating these digital versions of ourselves. What rights and responsibilities will they have? How will they impact our relationships with each other and the world around us?
Those are some big questions. But let's go back to the original article for a second. The Crypto Briefing article mentioned that Cardano, the platform behind MeBox, has a big focus on security and privacy. How does that play into all of this?
That's a crucial point. If we're going to trust these avatars with our digital identities, we need to know they're secure and our personal information is protected. And that's where blockchain comes in.
Right, because blockchain is all about decentralization and immutability.
Exactly. By using blockchain technology, MeBox developers can create a system where our digital identities aren't controlled by any one person or company, making them harder to censor, manipulate, or hack.
So it's like a digital fortress for our MeBoxes.
You could say that.
Yeah.
But it's also about creating a more transparent and fair digital world where people have more control over their own data.
This is where things get really interesting. We're not just talking about a new technology. We're talking about a whole new way of interacting with the digital world.
Mhm.
And it all started with a roast battle.
It just goes to show that innovation can come from anywhere. Sometimes a seemingly silly event can spark a chain reaction that leads to huge changes.
So we've explored the potential benefits and challenges of MeBox. We've talked about the role of blockchain in security and privacy. But there's another layer to this that we haven't discussed yet. The question of identity. What does it actually mean to have a digital representation of yourself? Does your MeBox have its own identity separate from yours?
That's a big philosophical question, and one we're just starting to think about. As our digital identities get more complex and intertwine with our physical lives, the lines between real and virtual will get blurrier and blurrier.
And this is where it gets a little existential, right? Are we creating a world where our digital selves will eventually be more influential and impactful than our physical selves?
It's definitely something to think about, and it's something we'll need to figure out as we continue developing and using these technologies. But for now, let's shift our focus to what MeBox can actually do.
Okay, let's get practical. What are some real-world uses for this technology, besides tweeting and going to meetings?
The possibilities are huge. Imagine a world where your MeBox can represent you in virtual reality, letting you experience things that are physically impossible or too dangerous in the real world.
So like exploring the bottom of the ocean or climbing Mount Everest from my couch.
Exactly. Or imagine using your MeBox to access educational resources, attend virtual conferences, or even collaborate with people from all over the world on creative projects.
This is starting to sound less like science fiction and more like something that could actually happen while we're alive. It sounds like MeBox could really open up like a ton of possibilities for work and for our personal lives.
Oh yeah, definitely. It could make things like education, healthcare, even entertainment accessible to everyone. Imagine a world where you're not limited by where you live. You could pursue your passions or connect with people who share your interests no matter where they are.
But let's not forget how this whole conversation started, with that roast battle between Hoskinson and the AI bot. It's kind of funny how this like silly online argument has got us thinking about some really deep stuff, like what it means to be human, what identity even is, and how we're going to navigate this increasingly complex digital world.
Yeah, it really shows how unpredictable technology can be. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from the most unexpected places, and often it's through humor and playing around that we start to understand the real power of these new technologies.
It's like we're getting a glimpse of the future, and it's both exciting and a little scary. We're on the verge of creating these digital versions of ourselves that can act on their own in the digital world. It brings up so many questions about what it means to be human, what it means to have an identity, and how we'll deal with this crazy digital landscape.
And those are questions we'll all have to wrestle with as this technology becomes more a part of our lives. It's not just about the technical stuff of MeBox, it's about the philosophical, ethical, and social implications.
So to our listeners, we've taken you on quite a ride today. We started with a roast battle, dug into the technical side of blockchain and digital identity, and explored how MeBox could change how we live, work, and interact with the world.
And we've only just scratched the surface. This is a conversation that's just getting started, and we hope you'll join in.
As we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with something to think about. If you could create a MeBox today, what would you want it to do? How would you want it to represent you online?
Would you want it to focus on your career, your creative side, or your social life? Would you let it learn and grow on its own, or would you want to keep it under control?
The decisions we make about how we design and use our digital avatars are going to shape the future of digital identity, and in the end, the future of humanity itself. This deep dive has been a whirlwind of ideas, insights, and questions. But one thing's for sure, we're standing at the edge of a technological revolution that has the power to completely transform our world.
And as we step into this unknown territory, it's important to do it with curiosity, critical thinking, and a good sense of humor. After all, if a roast battle can lead us to such profound insights, who knows what other surprises are waiting for us?
So as always, stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, the future is ours to create, and maybe, just maybe, our MeBoxes will help us make it even more amazing than